What are all the different types of energy? So I said earlier that there are kind of two broader classifications. There's mechanical energy, and there is thermal energy. And thermal pretty much is just thermal energy. I mean, maybe there's certain ways of looking at it that there could be some different types, but we're not going to look at it that way in this class. We are going to turn back and to return to this a little bit later in this class and actually study part of physics called thermodynamics that focuses a little bit more on the nature of thermal energy and how that relates to temperature and things like that. And there's some interesting stuff there. But it turns out mechanical energy forms, there's a number of different types. And one of the ones we've seen already is kinetic. One of the other ones we saw is gravitational, but it turns out gravitational is kind of one possible form of a general class of mechanical energies called potential energy. So again, one of those is gravitational, but there are other ones. And maybe I'll just list up here another one that we're going to use in this class a whole bunch is elastic. But it turns out there's more here. I mean, there's a bunch more, and I think we'll see those in the answer. I've kind of run out of space. But I think the ones I have written up here are mostly going to cover the ones we're going to see in physics 2A. One thing I do want to stress, though, is that if you're looking at a question that describes something and then says, tell me what energy type it is, do not answer mechanical. That is never going to be a sufficient answer. And the reason why is because if somebody says, well, it's mechanical energy, the obvious follow-up question is, well, okay, but which one? There's a whole bunch of them, right? Is it kinetic? Is it gravitational? Is it elastic? It turns out there's also electrostatic. Chemical energy is in this category. Nuclear energy is in this category. Let's see what all is in that category, actually, because here's a chart. It starts with overall energy, divides it into mechanical energy and thermal energy. But then there's kinetic energy, and then there's all the potential energy types. That's another pitfall, is like if I ask you to identify for me a specific type of energy and you say, oh, it's potential energy, did you really answer the question? And my answer would be, no, not really. Like, did you really, in that sense, demonstrate an understanding of energy types? Not really. Really, the energy types are only the things at the bottom here, right? So we've seen kinetic, now there's gravitational energy, elastic energy. So that's everything I had over there, but there's more. There's electrostatic energy. There's magnetic energy, chemical energy, and nuclear energy. In fact, and I think there's actually one more here that I had trouble figuring out where to put it. There's also radiant energy, which includes the energy that is transmitted by light, but you could also say things like radio waves or even X-rays and gamma rays. There's a lot of different forms of electromagnetic radiation. So we're not focusing on that one too much. It's kind of in a weird spot down here, though, because it's debatable whether it should really be a potential energy. It may actually be sort of in the kinetic area. It's also, we're going to see later on that kinetic energy can be subdivided into both linear and rotational with different formulas for that. So anyway, this chart may not quite tell all of the story, but again, the pitfall I want people to avoid is if somebody asks you to name an energy type, don't name one of the categories, like especially mechanical and potential are categories that have more types within them. Thermal energy is kind of a little different. It's both a category and a type. So for that one, it's okay.